The moment you desperately need something to happen, you quietly give it power over you. You give your peace to the answer. You give your confidence to the result. You give your future to a door that has not opened yet. You begin checking, waiting, forcing, overthinking. You imagine what will happen if you fail. You imagine who will leave. You imagine how embarrassed you will feel. And before anything has even happened, you have already become a prisoner of the outcome. But there is another way to live, a way where you still work hard, but you do not beg. You still love deeply, but you do not lose yourself. You still dream boldly, but you do not collapse when life changes the plan. This is the power of an unattached mind. An unattached mind does not mean a cold heart. It does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become lazy, distant, or emotionless. It means you care without becoming controlled. You act without demanding. You prepare without panicking. You move toward the goal without making the goal your identity. Most people believe power means controlling everything. They try to control people. They try to control timing. They try to control opinions. They try to control exactly how life must unfold. But real power begins when you stop trying to control what was never yours to control. You cannot control who stays. You cannot control who understands you. You cannot control how quickly success arrives. You cannot control every opportunity, every response, every delay, or every rejection. But you can control the person you become while life is deciding what happens next. That is where your freedom lives. You may have spent years chasing certainty. You may believe you will finally relax when the money arrives, when the relationship works, when the business grows, when the right people approve of you, when your family understands you, when your hard work is recognized. But every time you make peace dependent on something outside you, peace moves farther away. The unattached mind says, "I will give my best, but I will not beg the world to reward me. I will move with purpose, but I will not destroy myself trying to control the path. I will love what comes, learn from what leaves, and keep becoming stronger." The person who needs nothing to prove their worth becomes difficult to manipulate. The person who can lose without losing themselves becomes difficult to defeat. The person who can hear no and still move forward becomes dangerous to every limit that once controlled them. You do not become unstoppable by getting everything you want. You become unstoppable when not getting what you want can no longer stop you. Today, you are going to learn how to release the result without releasing your discipline, how to stop chasing what is running from you, how to face rejection without questioning your value, how to walk away without falling apart, how to work without needing applause, and how to become so internally free that nothing outside you can own your mind again. Listen carefully. One lesson may reveal why you have felt exhausted for years. Another may show you why your strongest desire has become your greatest weakness. And the final lesson will teach you what happens when nothing in the world can purchase your peace. This is not about giving up. This is about taking your power back. First, you will discover why your need for a specific result has quietly become a cage. Then you will learn the difference between controlling your effort and trying to control the ending. You will see why chasing people, opportunities, and approval makes them more powerful than you. You will learn how to face rejection without allowing it to become your identity. You will understand when walking away is not weakness, but self-respect. You will discover how to become powerful without needing recognition. And finally, you will learn how to live so freely that nothing outside you can stop the person you are becoming. These are not 7 ideas to admire. They are 7 ways to live. Let us begin. Chapters 1. Your need for the result is the cage. There is a hidden difference between wanting something and needing it. Wanting says, "This matters to me." Needing says, "Without this, I cannot be okay." Wanting gives you direction. Needing gives away your power. You can want success. You can want love. You can want respect. You can want an opportunity. You can want your work to be seen. There is nothing wrong with desire. Desire can wake you up early. It can help you grow. It can move you through fear. It can show you what kind of future you want to build. But when desire becomes desperation, the goal stops serving you. You begin serving the goal. You stop asking, "Is this right for me?" You only ask, "How can I get it?" You stop noticing the price. You stop protecting your dignity. You stop listening to your inner warning. You become willing to wait too long, explain too much, tolerate disrespect, ignore reality, and betray yourself. Why? Because you have convinced yourself that one result is the only door to happiness. This is how the cage is built, not with metal, with meaning. You place so much meaning on one person that their attention becomes your oxygen. You place so much meaning on one opportunity that rejection feels like the end of your future. You place so much meaning on one plan that any delay feels like life is attacking you. The result becomes bigger than it truly is. Then fear begins. What if I do not get it? What if someone else takes my place? What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I have wasted my time? These questions do not improve your performance. They drain your energy. They divide your attention. Part of you is working. The other part is constantly checking whether the work will succeed. Imagine planting a seed and digging it up every morning to see whether it has started growing. You would destroy the thing you were trying to grow. Yet this is what many people do with their goals. They start a project, then immediately demand proof. They begin exercising, then check the mirror every day. They post their work, then refresh the numbers every few minutes. They apply for an opportunity, then allow their entire mood to depend on one reply. They meet someone, then begin planning a future before trust has even been built. They are not living, they are inspecting. They are watching the seeds so closely that they cannot enjoy the process of becoming a gardener. An attached mind says, "I must see results now." An unattached mind says, "I will keep doing what produces results, even when the results are still invisible." This does not mean you ignore reality. It means you stop treating every delay as a disaster. Growth often happens quietly. Your confidence may be growing before anyone respects you. Your skill may be improving before anyone pays you. Your discipline may be strengthening before your body changes. Your wisdom may be deepening before life gives you another opportunity. The world often sees the fruit. It does not see the roots. The attached person becomes frustrated during the root-building season. They believe nothing is happening because nothing is visible. Then they quit. Not because the path was wrong, because the proof arrived later than their fear could tolerate. Ask yourself, what result have I made too important? Whose answer has too much control over my mood? What future event have I turned into permission to feel peaceful? Maybe you have told yourself, "I will be confident when I succeed." But confidence built only on success is fragile. The next failure will take it away. Maybe you have told yourself, "I will feel worthy when this person chooses me." But worth that depends on being chosen is not worth. It is dependence. Maybe you have told yourself, "I will rest when everything is under control." But everything will never be under control. Life is movement. People change. Plans break. Unexpected doors open. Unexpected doors close. If you wait for total control before you feel safe, you will wait forever. The cage is not the goal itself. The cage is the belief that you cannot be whole without it. You must learn to say, "I want this, but I do not need it to know who I am. I am working for this, but I will not worship it. I hope it happens, but if it does not, I will still have a future." This is one of the strongest sentences you can learn. I will be okay either way. Not because every outcome will be pleasant, not because loss will never hurt, not because you will never feel disappointed. You will feel, you will grieve, you will need time, but you will not disappear. You will not become nothing. You will not lose every possibility because one possibility ended. A closed door is one event. It is not a complete description of your life. A rejection is one decision. It is not a final judgment of your value. A failure is one result. It is not your identity. An ending is one chapter. It is not the whole book. The mind becomes attached when it turns one moment into everything. One person becomes your only chance at love. One business becomes your only chance at success. One mistake becomes proof that you always fail. One opinion becomes the voice of the entire world. Detachment returns things to their true size. This matters, but it is not everything. This hurts, but it will not hurt forever. This failed, but I am not finished. This person left, but my life did not leave with them. This path closed, but I still have feet. A powerful person understands that life has more than one route. They do not confuse a preferred path with the only path. Think about water. Water does not attack a rock forever. It moves around it. It changes direction without losing its nature. It remains water. This is how an unattached mind moves. It does not waste years demanding that one road open. It looks for the next wise step. It does not say, "This must happen exactly as I imagined." It says, "I know what I value. I know where I want to go. But I am willing to discover a better road." Your goal may remain. Your method can change. Your values may remain. Your expectations can change. Your effort may remain. Your timeline can change. Detachment makes you flexible. Attachment makes you brittle. A brittle mind breaks when life applies pressure. A flexible mind bends, learns, and keeps moving. This is why people who need everything to go according to plan are often the most anxious. Their peace has too many conditions. The weather must be right. The people must behave correctly. The timing must match. The opportunity must arrive. The audience must respond. The plan must work. The moment one condition fails, their inner world collapses. But the unattached person has fewer conditions for peace. They prefer a good outcome. They work for a good outcome. But they do not handcuff their identity to it. Start with a simple practice. Choose one thing you deeply want. Say it clearly. I want this relationship to work. I want this business to grow. I want this opportunity. I want to reach this goal. Then add, but my life is larger than this result. This sentence creates space. Space between you and the desire. Space between the event and your identity. Space between disappointment and self-destruction. Next, ask, what remains in my control today? Not next month, not after the reply. Not when people finally understand you. Today. Can you send the message? Can you practice the skill? Can you improve the work? Can you apologize? Can you set a boundary? Can you take one disciplined step? Do that. Then stop mentally trying to force the future. You do not need to solve the entire journey every morning. You need to honor the next step. When your mind jumps toward the ending, return it to the action. Not, will I become successful? Ask, did I do today's work? Not, will they choose me? Ask, am I choosing myself with dignity? Not, will everyone approve? Ask, is this honest, useful, and aligned with who I want to be? Not, can I guarantee the result? Ask, can I respect the effort I gave? The attached mind lives at the finish line. The unattached mind lives in the present step. This is why it has more energy. It is not carrying tomorrow while trying to complete today. Your first freedom begins when you stop saying, I must have this, and begin saying, I will move toward this with courage, but I refuse to become its prisoner. Want the goal, respect the goal, work for the goal, but never kneel before the goal. Your life is bigger than one outcome. Remember that. Because the moment you no longer need the result to feel whole, you become far more capable of creating it. Chapters 2. Control the effort. Release the ending. Many people waste their strength trying to control the wrong part of life. They try to control the ending. They try to control how people respond. They try to control how fast progress happens. They try to control whether the world understands their intentions. They try to control whether their work becomes popular. They try to control whether someone loves them back. Then they neglect the part that is actually theirs, their preparation, their discipline, their honesty, their daily choices, their response to pressure, their willingness to continue. There are two circles in every situation. The first circle contains what you can control. The second contains what you cannot. Inside your circle are your actions, your words, your habits, your standards, your focus, your preparation, your boundaries, your attitude, your response. Outside your circle are other people's choices, their opinions, their timing, their moods, their loyalty, their level of understanding, market conditions, unexpected events, the past, the final result. Most stress comes from standing inside your circle while staring at the other one. You ignore your actions because you are obsessed with their reaction. You stop doing your best because you are busy predicting whether your best will be rewarded. You spend energy rehearsing conversations that may never happen. You prepare arguments for people who are not even in the room. You imagine 10 different futures and suffer inside all of them. Then, when it is time to take the real step, you are already exhausted. The unattached mind makes a clean division. It says, this part is mine, that part is not. This simple division can save years of emotional suffering. Suppose you are preparing for an interview. You can control whether you learn about the role. You can control whether you practice your answers. You can control whether you arrive prepared. You can control whether you speak honestly and calmly. You cannot control who else applied. You cannot control the interviewer's personal preferences. You cannot control whether the company suddenly changes its plans. If you spend your energy on the first group, you become stronger. If you spend it on the second, you become anxious. Suppose you care about someone. You can communicate clearly. You can be loyal. You can listen. You can show respect. You can tell the truth. But you cannot force emotional maturity into another person. You cannot force someone to recognize your value. You cannot love someone into becoming honest. You cannot control whether they stay. When you try, love becomes fear. You monitor their mood. You read hidden meaning into every silence. You change yourself to prevent them from leaving. You stop expressing your needs. You become a manager of their emotions. This is not love. This is anxiety wearing the clothes of love. Real love requires freedom. The freedom to be honest. The freedom to say no. The freedom to leave when respect disappears. The freedom to know that even if the relationship ends, you will not abandon yourself. Suppose you create something, a video, a book, a product, a business, a piece of art. You can control the quality. You can study the audience. You can improve the message. You can remain consistent, but you cannot force people to care today. You cannot command attention. You cannot guarantee that the right person will discover your work at the right time. When you confuse creation with reception, you begin creating from fear. You make every choice to please the numbers. You lose your voice. You copy what everyone else is doing. You stop building something meaningful and start begging the crowd to look at you. The unattached creator works differently. They listen to feedback, but they do not obey every opinion. They study results, but they do not turn numbers into self-worth. They want success, but they are still willing to make brave work before success gives them permission. They control the craft. They release the applause. This is not easy. The mind wants certainty. It asks, tell me this will work. Tell me I will not fail. Tell me they will stay. Tell me the risk will be worth it. But life rarely gives guarantees before action. Most meaningful choices require movement before certainty. You build confidence by walking without complete proof. You do not need certainty. You need a clear next step and the courage to take it. The need for certainty often becomes a form of delay. You tell yourself you are thinking, but you are hiding. You tell yourself you need more information, but you are waiting for fear to disappear. You tell yourself the timing is not right, but you are hoping life will remove every possibility of pain before you act. It will not. There will always be risk. There will always be unknowns. There will always be a part of the future you cannot see. The unattached mind does not demand a risk-free path. It asks, what choice would I respect, even if the result is uncertain? That question changes everything. Maybe you tell the truth. Maybe you begin. Maybe you leave. Maybe you apply. Maybe you publish. Maybe you apologize. Maybe you say no. Maybe you stop waiting for permission. Your job is not to control the ending. Your job is to make an honest decision with the information and strength you have now. Then learn from what happens. This is how powerful people use outcomes. They do not use outcomes as judgments. They use outcomes as information. A poor result does not always mean you are a poor person. Sometimes the strategy was wrong. Sometimes the timing was wrong. Sometimes you lacked skill. Sometimes you ignored a warning. Sometimes you did almost everything right, but the world did not respond. The attached mind says, I failed, so I am a failure. The unattached mind says, this attempt failed. What can it teach me? Notice the difference. One sentence attacks identity, the other improves ability. You must separate yourself from the result enough to study it clearly. When ego is attached, feedback feels like disrespect. Correction feels like humiliation. Failure feels unbearable, so you defend yourself instead of learning. You blame, you hide, you make excuses. You pretend the result did not matter. But detachment is not pretending not to care. Detachment allows you to care enough to look honestly. You can say, I wanted this to work. It did not work. I am disappointed, and I am willing to learn. That is maturity. You do not need to lie to yourself. You do not need to say every failure was secretly perfect. Some failures come from poor choices. Some losses happen because you stayed too long. Some opportunities disappear because you were not prepared. Detachment does not protect you from responsibility. It protects you from useless self-hatred. Responsibility says, I played a part, I can improve. Shame says, I am the problem, I cannot change. One creates movement, the other creates paralysis. Control your effort. That means you become serious about the basics. You keep promises to yourself. You show up when motivation is absent. You practice when no one is watching. You prepare before opportunity arrives. You speak clearly instead of hoping people read your mind. You leave situations that repeatedly violate your values. You take care of your health. You manage your time. You learn from evidence. You stop blaming fate for habits you refuse to change. Then release the ending. Releasing does not mean you stop reviewing your results. It means you review them without allowing them to own your nervous system. You look at the numbers, you study the response, you adjust. Then you return to work. You do not spend 3 days insulting yourself because one attempt failed. You do not spend 3 weeks imagining what people may think. You do not spend 3 years waiting for someone to regret losing you. That is not release. That is attachment disguised as distance. Real release feels quieter. You accept that the moment has happened. You stop trying to rewrite it mentally. You take the lesson. You choose the next action. Imagine an archer. The archer can control posture, breathing, focus, practice, the decision to release the arrow. But once the arrow has left the bow, control changes. Wind may move, the target may shift, the shot may miss. The wise archer does not run behind the arrow trying to push it through the air. Yet mentally, people do this every day. They send a message and then try to control how it is received. They publish work and then try to force people to love it. They make a decision and then replay it 100 times. They release the arrow physically, but keep holding it mentally. Let the arrow fly. You already sent the message. You already applied. You already spoke. You already tried. Now return to yourself. Breathe. Continue your day. Do not stand at the door of the future demanding an immediate answer. Your life is happening while you wait. A practical rule is this: before action, focus deeply. During action, give yourself fully. After action, release completely. Before the conversation, prepare. During the conversation, be present. After the conversation, stop rewriting every sentence. Before the performance, practice. During the performance, commit. After the performance, review once and move forward. Before the decision, think carefully. During the decision, act courageously. After the decision, accept that no choice can protect you from every unknown. This is how you protect your energy. You give it to the moment where it can create change, not to the moment that has already passed, not to the future that has not arrived. Today, write down one situation that is consuming your mind. Divide a page into 2 parts. On one side, write, "What is mine?" On the other side, write, "What is not mine?" Be honest. If the situation is a relationship, your honesty is yours. Their honesty is not. Your boundary is yours. Their reaction is not. If the situation is work, your preparation is yours. The final decision may not be. If the situation is a goal, your routine is yours. The exact timeline is not. Then make one promise: I will stop spending my best energy on the part that does not belong to me. This is not surrender. It is intelligent strength. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming precise. Your power grows when it stops leaking into things you cannot control. The ending may still surprise you. It may disappoint you. It may be better than you imagined. But no matter what happens, you will know that you stood inside your own circle and gave your best. That is a victory no outside result can erase. Chapters 3. Stop chasing what can walk away. The moment you begin chasing someone who is walking away, you teach them that they have more value than you. You tell them, without words, your presence is important. My dignity is negotiable. You keep calling. You keep explaining. You keep offering more. You keep lowering your standards. You keep trying to prove that you are worth choosing. And with every step you take towards someone who is not choosing you, you take one step away from yourself. This lesson is not only about relationships. People chase everything. They chase approval. They chase attention. They chase status. They chase people who give mixed signals. They chase opportunities that repeatedly disrespect their time. They chase audiences that do not value their work. They chase arguments because they need the final word. They chase closure from people who were never honest enough to give it. Chasing feels active, but often it is fear in motion. You are afraid to be forgotten, afraid to be replaced, afraid that if you stop trying, the door will close forever. So you run harder. But ask yourself, why must the thing meant for me require me to abandon myself? Why must I become smaller to keep it? Why must I constantly prove what should be recognized through mutual respect? There is a difference between effort and chasing. Effort has dignity. Chasing has desperation. Effort says, I care, so I will show up honestly. Chasing says, I am afraid, so I will keep showing up even after you make it clear that I am not valued. Effort can be mutual. Chasing is usually one-sided. Effort respects boundaries. Chasing ignores them. Effort has a stopping point. Chasing continues because the mind believes one more message, one more favor, one more sacrifice, or one more explanation will finally change everything. Sometimes persistence is necessary. A business may need years. A skill may need thousands of hours. A meaningful mission may require you to continue before anyone believes in it. So how do you know whether you are persisting or chasing? Ask 3 questions. First, is this path asking me to grow or asking me to betray myself? Growth may be difficult. It may require patience. It may expose weakness, but growth does not require you to destroy your values. If you must lie, beg, tolerate repeated disrespect, or constantly silence your needs, you are not growing, you are disappearing. Second, is there evidence of movement? A difficult path can still show signs of life. You may be learning, your skill may be improving, communication may be becoming clearer, the relationship may involve mutual effort, the business may be slowly gaining strength. But if nothing changes despite honest, consistent effort, you must be willing to see reality. Hope is powerful. Denial is expensive. Third, if I were not afraid of losing this, what would I do? This question removes panic. Maybe you would wait calmly. Maybe you would speak directly. Maybe you would stop sending messages. Maybe you would set a deadline. Maybe you would leave. Maybe you would focus on building a better option. Fear often tells you to chase. Self-respect often tells you to pause. Silence reveals many things that chasing hides. When you stop forcing, you see who reaches back. When you stop explaining, you see who tries to understand. When you stop carrying the entire relationship, you see whether there was a relationship or only your effort. When you stop begging an opportunity to value you, you create space to discover a better one. Do not be afraid of the information silence gives you. It may hurt, but truth that hurts can free you. Confusion that comforts can waste years. Mixed signals are often treated as a mystery, but confusion is frequently the answer. A person who truly values you may still be imperfect. They may struggle to communicate. They may need time, but there will usually be some consistency, some effort, some evidence, some willingness to meet you in the middle. When there is only uncertainty, excuses and temporary attention, stop building a future from small moments that mean less than you hope. Attachment makes crumbs feel like a meal. A message after 10 days feels meaningful. A small compliment becomes proof of love. A temporary opportunity becomes proof that your career has changed. Why? Because the hungry mind exaggerates whatever it receives. This is why you must feed your own life. Build routines, build friendships, build purpose, build health, build skill. Build a future that does not depend on one person's attention. When your life is empty, one person can become your entire emotional world. When your life is full, love becomes part of your life, not the owner of it. This does not mean you avoid intimacy. It means you enter intimacy as a whole person. You do not ask another human being to become your purpose, confidence, identity, and peace. That weight will eventually damage both of you. You are responsible for building a life you do not constantly need to escape. Many people chase because they do not know what to do with the space left by letting go. If they stop checking, what will they think about? If they stop waiting, what will they build? If they stop trying to win that person, who will they become? The chase gives them a false purpose. It keeps them busy. It protects them from facing themselves. Sometimes you are not attached to the person. You are attached to the mission of being chosen by them. You believe their choice will heal an old wound. Maybe someone rejected you in the past. Maybe you grew up feeling unseen. Maybe you learned to earn love through performance. Now, when someone is distant, an old part of you wakes up. It says, try harder, be more useful, become easier to love. Do not let them leave. You are not only responding to the present, you are trying to repair the past, but the person in front of you cannot heal a wound that keeps teaching you to abandon yourself. Healing begins when you stop trying to earn what healthy love gives freely: respect, clarity, consistency, care. You may still need courage. You may still need to communicate. You may still need to become a better partner, friend, or professional. Detachment is not an excuse to avoid effort. Some people say, "I am detached," when they are afraid to be vulnerable. They pretend not to care. They leave before anyone can leave them. They avoid honest conversations. That is not freedom. That is fear protecting itself through distance. The unattached mind is brave enough to care and strong enough to accept the answer. It can say, "This matters to me. I would like to build this with you. I need clarity. This behavior does not work for me." Then it listens, not only to words, to patterns. Words can make promises. Patterns reveal priorities. Stop chasing promises that patterns keep breaking. You deserve to judge reality by what repeatedly happens, not by the rare moment that keeps your hope alive. In work, the same rule applies. Do not chase every client. Do not chase every audience. Do not chase every trend. Do not chase every person who says they may support you. Build value. Communicate clearly. Follow up with discipline, but know when your energy is being wasted. Some doors are not opening because they are not your doors. Some people are not responding because they are not your people. Some audiences do not connect because your message belongs somewhere else. You do not need the entire world. You need alignment. A few loyal people can build more with you than a crowd that barely cares. One honest opportunity can change more than 20 possibilities that keep you waiting. One clear relationship is worth more than years of decoding mixed signals. Stop measuring your value by how difficult something is to obtain. Difficult does not always mean valuable. Sometimes it only means unavailable. The human mind often wants what it cannot have. Distance creates fantasy. Uncertainty creates obsession. You begin imagining that what is unavailable must be special. But ask, do I want this because it is right, or because it is difficult? Do I love this person, or do I love the challenge of being chosen? Do I want this opportunity, or do I want to prove that rejection cannot defeat me? Your ego can turn life into a competition. Then you stay in situations long after happiness has disappeared because leaving feels like losing. But walking away from the wrong game is not losing. It is wisdom. You are not required to win every battle you enter. Some battles become victories the moment you stop fighting them. You reclaim your time, your attention, your sleep, your self-respect, your ability to see new possibilities. You stop standing outside a locked door and notice the open road behind you. Practice not chasing in small ways. Do not send a third message when two have been ignored. Do not explain a boundary 5 different ways to someone committed to misunderstanding it. Do not keep offering discounts to people who do not respect your work. Do not continue an argument after the conversation has stopped being honest. Do not keep checking whether they viewed your message. Do not keep visiting the page that destroys your peace. Every time you resist the chase, discomfort may rise. Your body may feel restless. Your mind may say, "Do something, fix it, reach out, make them understand." Pause. Let the discomfort exist without obeying it. This is how your nervous system learns that uncertainty is not an emergency. Take one slow breath, then another. Name the feeling. I feel rejected. I feel afraid. I feel forgotten. I want reassurance. Naming the feeling weakens its hidden control. Then choose an action that returns you to yourself. Walk, work, write, exercise, call someone trustworthy, clean your space, continue your plan. Do not use productivity to avoid emotion. Feel it, but do not let it drive the car. You can miss someone without chasing them. You can want an opportunity without begging for it. You can care about an answer without checking every minute. You can be disappointed without lowering your standards. This is emotional strength. The strongest version of you does not say, "I do not care." It says, "I care, but I will not abandon myself." Some things will return when you stop chasing. Some people may suddenly notice your absence. Some opportunities may reopen, But be careful. Do not stop chasing as a trick to make them come back. That is still attachment. Real detachment does not say, I will ignore them so they miss me. It says, I am no longer organizing my life around whether they miss me. That is freedom. If they return, you evaluate the reality. You do not immediately reopen the door because loneliness spoke. You ask, what has changed? Is there accountability? Is there consistency? Does this align with my values? You are allowed to love someone and still say no. You are allowed to forgive and still maintain distance. You are allowed to appreciate an opportunity and still reject unfair terms. You are allowed to outgrow the thing you once begged to receive. Stop chasing what can walk away. Turn around. Walk toward your own life. What is meant to meet you with respect will not require you to crawl. Chapters 4. Rejection cannot break a person who is already free. Rejection hurts because it does more than close a door. It touches identity. It whispers, you were not enough. You were not chosen. Someone else was better. You have been seen and judged. This is why a single rejection can awaken years of hidden pain. The event may be small, but it connects to older memories. The child who was ignored, the student who was laughed at, the friend who was excluded, the person who was left without explanation. Suddenly, one unanswered message feels like every past wound speaking at once. The attached mind does not experience rejection as one event. It experiences it as proof. Proof that it is unwanted, proof that it will always fail, proof that everyone eventually leaves. But rejection does not carry that much truth. Your mind gives it that truth. A company can reject your application without knowing your full ability. A person can reject your love because of their own needs, fears, timing, or limitations. An audience can ignore your work because they never saw it. A friend can misunderstand you. A family member can fail to recognize your growth. A door can close for reasons that have nothing to do with your worth. Even when rejection reveals something you need to improve, it still does not define your entire identity. Maybe you were not ready. That means prepare. Maybe you communicated poorly. That means learn. Maybe your work was weak. That means improve the work. Maybe your behavior damaged trust. That means take responsibility. None of these truths require self-destruction. You can face your weakness without becoming your weakness. The attached ego thinks there are only two choices: either deny the rejection or be destroyed by it. So people pretend not to care. They insult the person who rejected them. They blame the system. They call the opportunity worthless. They say, I never wanted it anyway. But inside, the pain remains. Freedom begins when you can say, I wanted it. I did not get it. That hurts. And I am still whole. You do not need to turn rejection into hatred. You do not need to make the other person evil so you can survive their decision. They may simply not want the same thing. They may have chosen differently. They may not see what you see. They may not be capable of meeting you. Their decision can hurt without becoming a crime. This is important because resentment is another form of attachment. You may no longer be speaking to someone, but you are still carrying them everywhere. You imagine their regret. You rehearse what you would say. You wait for life to punish them. You build success mainly to prove them wrong. They rejected you once. Now you keep giving them space in your mind every day. That is not revenge. That is continued control. The best freedom is not making them regret leaving. It is reaching a place where their regret is no longer necessary. Your life does not need their apology to move. Your confidence does not need their return. Your future does not need them to understand what they lost. You can close the chapter even when they never explain their behavior. People often say they need closure. Sometimes closure is helpful. A sincere conversation can bring clarity. An apology can help. Truth can heal confusion. But sometimes the person who created the wound does not have the maturity to help heal it. If you make closure dependent on them, You remain trapped. You must learn to create inner closure. Inner closure says, I may never receive every answer, but I have received enough information from the pattern. I know how this made me feel. I know what I tolerated. I know what I need to do now. Closure is not always understanding why they acted that way. Sometimes closure is accepting that they did. The mind resists this because it wants a clean story. It wants every question answered. It wants justice to be visible. It wants the past to make perfect sense. But life often leaves unfinished sentences. You can spend years trying to finish them, or you can decide that your future does not require every missing word. Rejection becomes less powerful when you stop rejecting yourself because of it. That is the deeper wound. Someone says no. Then you say no to yourself. You stop sharing your work. You stop trusting. You stop taking chances. You stop believing you are attractive, capable, intelligent, or worthy. The first rejection may last 1 minute. Your self-rejection can last 10 years. Do not continue the work of those who could not see you. Do not become the voice that keeps saying no. A free person understands that being rejected is part of being visible. When you show your work, someone may dislike it. When you speak honestly, someone may disagree. When you ask for what you want, someone may refuse. When you set a boundary, someone may leave. When you become different, some people will prefer the older version of you. You cannot become fully yourself while trying to avoid every rejection. To avoid rejection, you must hide. You must become agreeable. You must reduce your dreams. You must never risk. You must never ask. You must never reveal your real opinion. You must build a life so small that no one has a reason to say no. That may reduce rejection. It will also reduce aliveness. Every bold life contains rejection. The writer receives silence. The business owner hears no. The artist is misunderstood. The leader is criticized. The person with standards loses people who benefited from their lack of boundaries. The person who changes becomes unfamiliar to those who needed them to remain predictable. Rejection is often the price of direction. When you know where you are going, you will stop fitting everywhere. That is not always a problem. A key is useful because it does not fit every lock. Your message is not for everyone. Your personality is not for everyone. Your work is not for everyone. Your way of loving is not for everyone. You do not need universal approval. You need truth, alignment, and people who can meet you with mutual respect. The desire to be liked by everyone creates a divided identity. You become one person at work, another with family, another online, another with friends. You keep changing shape. You study the room before deciding who you are. This seems safe, but it is exhausting. Because even when people approve of you, you are not sure they approve of the real you. You begin thinking, if they knew what I truly believed, would they still stay? If I said no, would they still love me? If I stopped performing, would I still matter? This is the cost of approval addiction. You receive attention but cannot trust it. Freedom requires the risk of being honestly seen, not recklessly, not without wisdom, but without constantly editing your soul for comfort. Say what you mean with respect. Ask for what you need. Admit what you want. Acknowledge what does not work. Some people will respond well, some will not. The goal is not to prevent every negative response. The goal is to remain connected to yourself through the response. When rejection comes, do not react immediately. Pain often speaks in extremes. I will never try again. No one can be trusted. I will show them. I am worthless. These thoughts feel true because your body is activated. Pause before turning temporary pain into a permanent decision. Give yourself time. Do not send the angry message. Do not beg for another chance in the first emotional moment. Do not post something designed to make them jealous. Do not destroy a dream because one attempt failed. Let the wave pass. A wave feels powerful, but it is not the entire ocean. Your emotion is real. It is not always a reliable instruction. After the first wave, ask, what exactly was rejected? Be specific. Was it your application, your timing, your request, your offer, your behavior, your idea? Or are you claiming that your entire existence was rejected? Specific pain can be processed. Vague shame spreads everywhere. Say, this company did not choose me for this role. Not, no one will ever value me. Say, this person does not want this relationship. Not, I am impossible to love. Say, this project did not succeed. Not, I have no talent. Language matters. Your words build the emotional size of the event. Next, ask, is there useful information here? Maybe the rejection shows a skill gap. Good, now you know what to train. Maybe it shows a lack of alignment. Good, now you can stop forcing. Maybe it shows poor timing. Good, you can prepare for another moment. Maybe it shows nothing except another person's preference. Good, you do not need to turn preference into a verdict. Then ask, what can I do that honors me now? Maybe you improve. Maybe you try again elsewhere. Maybe you rest. Maybe you leave quietly. Maybe you ask one clear question. Maybe you accept that no answer is coming. Maybe you allow yourself to feel sad without turning sadness into identity. An unattached mind does not rush to prove itself after rejection. It does not immediately chase a bigger win just to erase the pain. It allows the ego to become quiet. Then it chooses from wisdom. You do not need to become successful in front of the people who doubted you. You need to become free from needing them as an audience. Many people build impressive lives while remaining emotionally chained to old rejection. Every achievement is a message to the past. Look at me now. Every success is secretly aimed at one person. Every applause is used to cover an old wound. From the outside, they appear powerful. Inside, they are still asking, am I enough now? No amount of public success can answer a question you keep asking the wrong people. You must answer it through the way you live. You become enough by refusing to treat yourself as disposable, by keeping promises to yourself, by speaking truthfully, by leaving disrespect, by practicing your craft, by forgiving your mistakes, by becoming someone you can trust. Self-worth is not a sentence you repeat while acting against yourself. It is a relationship built through behavior. Every time you honor a boundary, you strengthen it. Every time you continue after failure, you strengthen it. Every time you refuse to beg for basic respect, you strengthen it. Every time you tell the truth, even when approval is uncertain, you strengthen it. Then rejection changes. It may still hurt, but it no longer destroys your foundation. You do not need every door to open because you are no longer standing outside the door, believing it contains your entire future. You know how to turn around. You know how to build. You know how to begin again. That is freedom. The world can say no to a free person, but the world cannot make them say no to themselves. Chapters 5. Walk away before you abandon yourself. Walking away is one of the most misunderstood forms of power. Some people believe strength means staying loyal, staying patient, staying hopeful, staying until everything changes. And sometimes staying is brave. Relationships require patience. Dreams require endurance. Growth requires discomfort. You should not leave every time life becomes difficult. You should not treat temporary frustration as proof that something is wrong. You should not use detachment as an excuse to avoid commitment. But there is a point where staying stops being loyalty. It becomes self-abandonment. You know you have reached that point when you must repeatedly betray your values to remain, when you must constantly silence your voice, when you must accept disrespect as normal, when your health, peace, confidence and dignity are slowly disappearing, when every conversation becomes a courtroom where you must prove that your pain is real, When apologies keep arriving, but behavior never changes. When the future is built from promises, while the present remains harmful. At that point, walking away is not giving up. It is refusing to disappear. Many people know when something is wrong. Their body knows. They cannot sleep. Their stomach tightens. Their energy falls. They feel smaller after every interaction. They become anxious before entering the room. They rehearse simple requests because they expect conflict. They begin doubting their own memory, but they stay because attachment speaks louder than truth. Attachment says, "What if this is the best I will ever have? What if I regret leaving? What if they finally change after I go? What if everyone thinks I failed? What if I am alone? What if all the years were wasted?" These fears are powerful because leaving creates uncertainty. The known pain can feel safer than the unknown future. At least you understand the current suffering. You know its schedule. You know how to survive it. Freedom has no map yet, so you stay in the cage because the cage is familiar. This happens in relationships. It happens in jobs. It happens in friendships. It happens in identities. A person may remain in a career they hate because they have spent 10 years building it. They say, "I cannot leave now," but the 10 years already spent cannot be recovered by spending another 10 in misery. Past investment does not create future obligation. You are allowed to change direction when the truth changes. You are allowed to outgrow a dream. You are allowed to admit, "This once mattered to me, but it no longer fits the person I am becoming." That is not inconsistency. That is awareness. Some goals are bridges. They carry you to a new level. They are not meant to become your permanent home. Some relationships teach you. Some environments strengthen you. Some roles reveal your ability. Then their season ends. Attachment makes you keep holding the bridge after you have crossed it. You fear that releasing the old identity will make the journey meaningless, but meaning does not require permanence. A beautiful chapter can end and still have mattered. A person can have been important and still no longer belong in your future. A dream can have shaped you and still be released. An unattached mind does not insult the past. It simply refuses to live there forever. Walking away becomes difficult when your identity is mixed with the thing you need to leave. You are not only leaving a relationship, you are leaving the role of being needed. You are not only leaving a job, you are leaving the identity that impressed others. You are not only leaving a dream, you are leaving the version of yourself who promised it would succeed. This is why endings feel like death. A part of your identity is ending. Do not rush through this. Grief is natural. You can know a decision is right and still feel pain. You can miss someone and still know you should not return. You can feel uncertain and still move forward. Clarity does not always remove sadness. Strength does not always feel strong. Sometimes strength feels like crying while packing your things. Sometimes it feels like blocking the number with shaking hands. Sometimes it feels like saying, "I cannot continue this." Sometimes it feels like closing a business, admitting a mistake, or starting again with less status than before. Do not wait to feel fearless. Courage often moves while fear is still present. Before walking away, be honest. Have you communicated? Have you given the situation a fair chance? Have you taken responsibility for your part? Have you clearly stated what must change? Are you leaving because the situation violates your values or because your ego dislikes discomfort? These questions matter. Detachment should not make you careless with people. Do not disappear from healthy relationships whenever conflict appears. Do not call every disagreement bad energy. Do not label every person who challenges you as toxic. Sometimes you are the one who must grow. Sometimes your impatience creates the urge to leave. Sometimes the situation is not abusive or disrespectful. It is simply asking you to become more mature. The unattached mind can stay when staying is wise. It can leave when leaving is wise. It is not controlled by fear in either direction. Some people stay because they fear loss. Others leave because they fear closeness. Both can be attachment. One is attached to the person. The other is attached to emotional safety. Freedom is the ability to choose based on truth, not fear. A useful question is, what happens to me if nothing changes? Not what if they change, not what if the company improves, not what if the audience grows, not what if the promise is finally kept. If nothing changes and the current pattern continues for 1 year, what happens to you? For 5 years? Who do you become? What part of you disappears? This question breaks the spell of potential. Many people are not attached to reality. They are attached to potential. They see who a person could become, what the business could become, what the opportunity might become, what the future may look like if every promise is fulfilled. But your life is lived in patterns, not possibilities. Potential without action is a story. You must make decisions based on what repeatedly exists, not only on what occasionally appears. A single good day cannot erase a harmful pattern. A powerful apology cannot replace changed behavior. A sudden burst of effort cannot carry years of neglect. Look for consistency. Truth lives in repetition. When you decide to leave, do not turn the departure into a performance. You do not need a dramatic final speech. You do not need to destroy the other person. You do not need to explain your decision to everyone. You do not need to make them admit that you are right. Sometimes the cleanest ending is simple. This no longer works for me. I have communicated my needs. The pattern has not changed. I am choosing to move forward. The attached mind wants the other person to understand. It wants agreement. It wants regret. It wants the perfect final conversation where everything becomes clear. But if you require agreement before leaving, you have given them the power to keep you trapped. They may never agree. They may tell a different story. They may blame you. They may minimize what happened. They may become kind only when they realize you are serious. Your boundary does not require their approval. A boundary is not an argument. It is a decision about what you will participate in. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries may call your freedom selfish. They may say you have changed. They are correct. You have changed. You have stopped confusing endless access with love. You have stopped proving loyalty through pain. You have stopped offering your peace as payment for belonging. This change may disappoint people. Let them be disappointed. Their disappointment is not always proof that you are wrong. Sometimes it is proof that the old arrangement worked better for them than it worked for you. Walking away also means walking away mentally. Many people leave physically, but remain emotionally attached. They check social media. They ask mutual friends. They imagine what the other person is doing. They return to old messages. They replay the final conversation. They create future meetings in their mind. The body has left. The attention has not. Healing requires you to stop feeding the connection. Attention is food. Whatever you repeatedly watch grows stronger in your mind. You cannot heal a wound you reopen every night. Create distance. Remove triggers where possible. Do not test yourself by constantly looking. Do not call it strength when you keep standing near the fire. Early healing needs protection. Later, you may remember without collapsing. But first, give your mind a new environment. Fill the empty space intentionally. People often return to harmful situations because emptiness becomes unbearable. The old pain feels better than the new silence. So build structure. Wake up at a clear time. Move your body. Eat properly. Work on something that belongs to your future. Spend time with people who do not make you earn basic care. Write what you are learning. Let grief move through you. Do not expect your heart to change as quickly as your decision. A decision can happen in one moment. Emotional detachment may take months. That does not mean the decision was wrong. It means your system is adjusting. You formed habits around the person, place, or dream. Your mind expects familiar patterns. When they disappear, discomfort rises. You may confuse withdrawal with love. You may believe pain means you should return, but sometimes pain only means the attachment is breaking. Not every urge deserves action. Let the urge pass. Each time you do not return to what harmed you, your trust in yourself grows. Self-trust is one of the greatest powers you can build. It means you believe that when something violates your deepest values, you will protect yourself. You will not always choose perfectly, but you will listen, you will correct. You will not remain trapped only because leaving is difficult. Without self-trust, every relationship feels dangerous because part of you knows you may abandon yourself to keep it. With self-trust, you can love more openly. You know that caring deeply does not mean surrendering your boundaries. You know that if the situation becomes unhealthy, you will respond. You do not need to control the other person because you trust your own actions. This is a major secret of detachment. The less you trust yourself to walk away, the more you try to control others so they never give you a reason to leave. You monitor, you demand, you panic, you become possessive. But when you know you can survive an ending, you no longer need to imprison the relationship. You can let people reveal themselves. You can observe. You can communicate. You can choose. Freedom creates better love than control ever can. Sometimes walking away is not from a person. It is from the need to be understood. You may have spent years explaining yourself to family members, critics, or former friends. You keep thinking, if I use the right words, they will finally see me. Maybe they will. Maybe they will not. At some point, you must decide whether being understood by them is worth remaining emotionally trapped in the conversation. You can say, they may never understand my choice, and I can still live it. You do not need to win the trial inside someone else's mind. Let them hold their opinion. Your life is not a courtroom where every person must declare you innocent before you can move forward. Walk away from the argument. Walk away from the role. Walk away from the version of you who keeps asking permission. Walk away from the need to make the ending look beautiful. Some endings are messy. Some people will misunderstand. Some questions will remain. But peace does not require a perfect ending. It requires an honest next step. Before you abandon yourself, leave the place that keeps asking you to do it. Chapter 6. Become powerful without needing recognition. There is a form of weakness that looks like ambition. You work hard, you improve, you create, you achieve. But beneath every action is a hidden request. Please notice me. You do not only want to succeed, you want specific people to witness your success. You want those who doubted you to admit they were wrong. You want those who ignored you to return. You want the world to confirm that your struggle mattered. This desire is human. Recognition feels good. Respect feels good. Applause can encourage you. There is nothing wrong with enjoying appreciation. The problem begins when recognition becomes the reason you continue. Then your discipline is no longer yours. It belongs to the audience. When they clap, you feel powerful. When they are silent, you question everything. When the numbers rise, you believe in yourself. When the numbers fall, your identity falls with them. You become emotionally employed by public reaction. An unattached mind welcomes recognition, but does not require it. It says, I appreciate being seen, but I will not stop becoming when no one is watching. This is where uncommon power is built. Anyone can work when excitement is high. Anyone can feel confident after praise. Anyone can continue when results arrive quickly. But who are you in the quiet season, when your work is ignored? When your progress is slow? When people who started after you appear to move ahead? When you improve privately and no one notices? The quiet season reveals whether you are committed to the craft or addicted to the reward. Most people do not fail because they lack potential. They fail because they cannot tolerate invisible progress. They need proof too soon. They need applause before mastery. They need motivation before repetition. They need people to understand before they are willing to continue. But nearly every meaningful ability is built in private. The musician repeats scales no audience would pay to hear. The athlete trains on ordinary mornings. The writer produces pages that may be deleted. The business owner solves small problems that will never be celebrated. The strong mind is built through choices no one posts about. Getting enough sleep, keeping a promise, saying no to distraction, practicing again, admitting an error, starting over, finishing the boring part. These choices seem small because they are not dramatic. But power is usually built through what looks boring. Attachment loves dramatic moments, the breakthrough, the announcement, the applause, the visible transformation. Detachment respects repetition. It knows that the public moment is only the surface. The real victory occurred in hundreds of private moments when quitting would have been easier. You must learn to love the work before the reward. Not every part of the work. Some parts will always feel difficult, but you must develop loyalty to the process. Loyalty means you do not abandon your direction every time emotion changes. You may adjust the plan, you may rest, you may learn a better method, but you do not make every decision based on today's mood. A powerful person does not ask, "Do I feel inspired?" They ask, "What does my commitment require?" This does not mean forcing yourself without limit. Rest is part of discipline. Reflection is part of discipline. Changing strategy is part of discipline. But endless delay is not rest. Avoidance is not self-care. Waiting for perfect motivation is not wisdom. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your future is complete the difficult task while your present self complains. Recognition addiction creates comparison. You stop watching your path. You watch everyone else. Who is growing faster? Who received more attention? Who earns more? Who looks more confident? Who has the relationship, body, audience, title, or lifestyle you want? Comparison creates attachment to another person's timeline. Now your success is not enough unless it is faster than theirs. Your progress is not meaningful unless it is more visible. You turn growth into competition. Then even good results feel empty. Someone will always be ahead in some area. Someone will always receive what you wanted. Someone will always appear to have an easier path. If your peace depends on being first, peace will remain temporary. The unattached mind studies others without worshipping their position. It can admire, it can learn, it can compete with honesty, but it does not use another person's chapter to insult its own. You do not know the entire cost of their life. You do not know their timing. You do not know what they sacrificed. You do not know what struggle is hidden behind the visible result. You see the moment. You imagine the whole story. Return to your lane. Ask, am I stronger than I was? Is my work improving? Am I becoming more disciplined? Am I living closer to my values? These measurements create internal power. Public metrics can be useful. Revenue matters in business. Performance matters in work. Feedback matters in creation. But metrics should guide strategy, not define worth. Look at the result. Learn. Adjust. Then separate the number from your identity. A low number may mean the message was weak, the timing was poor, the audience was wrong, the quality needs improvement. It may mean several things. It does not automatically mean you are meaningless. A high number may mean the work was strong. It may also mean the timing was fortunate. Do not use success to become arrogant. Do not use failure to become ashamed. Both are information. Neither should own you. When you no longer need recognition, your work becomes braver. You can tell the truth before it is popular. You can build patiently. You can reject opportunities that offer attention but violate your values. You can make decisions for long-term strength instead of short-term applause. You can remain calm when people misunderstand early stages. Many people destroy their future because they want to look successful now. They spend money to appear wealthy. They accept bad partnerships to appear connected. They announce plans before building discipline. They chase visible wins while ignoring the foundation. They want the image before the substance. The unattached person is willing to look ordinary while becoming extraordinary. They do not need everyone to understand the season. They know what they are building. They are not ashamed of slow progress. They do not pretend. They can say, "I am learning, I am rebuilding, I am not there yet." These words require confidence. Insecure people often need to appear complete. Secure people can be beginners. They know that being unskilled today is not a permanent identity. It is a stage. The willingness to be seen learning is powerful because ego no longer controls the path. You become teachable. You ask questions. You accept correction. You stop protecting the image of intelligence and start building real ability. Recognition addiction makes feedback dangerous. You hear advice as an attack. You hide mistakes. You avoid situations where you may look weak. As a result, you remain weak. Detachment lets you separate your identity from your current level. You can say, "My work needs improvement," without saying, "I am worthless." You can say, "I handled that badly," without saying, "I am a terrible person." You can say, "I do not know," without feeling destroyed. This is how mastery grows. You must also detach from the fantasy of proving everyone wrong. At first, this fantasy can motivate you. You remember who laughed, who rejected you, who doubted your ability. You imagine the day they see your success. This can create energy, but it is dirty fuel. It keeps the wound alive. You continue because you are still in conversation with people who may no longer be part of your life. Every achievement remains emotionally connected to their opinion. What happens after you prove them wrong? Do you finally feel free? Usually not. The mind finds another critic, another comparison, another person to impress. Because the real problem was never their doubt. It was your dependence on external confirmation. Replace the question, "How can I prove them wrong?" with, "What can I build that is true?" One question keeps your eyes on enemies. The other keeps your eyes on purpose. Your energy should not be organized around revenge. It should be organized around creation. Build because the work matters. Grow because your unused potential bothers you. Train because discipline makes you trustworthy. Serve because value deserves expression. Succeed because you are capable of becoming more. Let recognition become a side effect, not the source. A powerful practice is to do something valuable that no one will know about. Help someone quietly. Complete a workout without posting it. Read without announcing the book. Improve your skill without telling people your plan. Give without needing your name attached. Keep a promise no one is monitoring. This trains the mind to receive satisfaction from integrity, not exposure. There is a special confidence that comes from private evidence. You know what you have done. You know how many times you continued. You know what temptation you resisted. You know how you behaved when no one would have discovered the truth. This confidence is harder for the world to take away because the world did not give it to you. Public praise can disappear. Private evidence remains. You need a scoreboard that belongs to you. At the end of the day, ask, did I act according to my values? Did I complete what mattered? Did I avoid unnecessary distraction? Did I speak honestly? Did I protect my energy? Did I move one step forward? This creates a stable sense of progress. Some days, the outside world will reward you. Other days, it will ignore you. Your inner scoreboard keeps you grounded in both seasons. Be careful with praise. Praise can become as dangerous as criticism when you become attached to it. Criticism can make you quit. Praise can make you stop improving. You begin defending the version of yourself people admire. You repeat the same work. You avoid risk. You become afraid that a new attempt may fail. Now success becomes another cage. The unattached mind does not cling to its old victories. It appreciates them. Then it asks, "What must I learn now?" Past success proves what you did. It does not guarantee what you will do next. Remain a student. Remain willing to begin again. Let go of the need to protect your image. People may forget your achievement. A new person may rise. Attention may move. That is natural. You were never meant to live permanently inside one moment of applause. Use recognition. Do not let recognition use you. Accept compliments with gratitude. Study criticism with wisdom. Ignore empty noise. Return to the work. Become powerful enough to continue without witnesses. Because when your discipline no longer depends on applause, your future becomes far more difficult to stop. Chapters 7. When nothing owns you, you become unstoppable. To become unstoppable does not mean you never lose. It does not mean you never feel fear. It does not mean every plan works. It means life can change the conditions without changing who you are. The opportunity disappears. You adapt. A person leaves. You grieve and continue. The plan fails. You learn and rebuild. The audience is silent. You improve the work. Someone misunderstands you. You remain honest. You feel afraid. You act with courage anyway. This is what it means to become internally free. Nothing outside you is allowed to become the owner of your identity. Not money, not status, not attention, not a relationship, not a title, not a mistake, not a victory, not an opinion, not even the dream you love most. You can hold these things, enjoy them, protect them, build them, but you do not let them hold you. Ownership begins when losing something feels like losing yourself. You say, "I am my career." Then retirement, failure or change feels like death. You say, "I am this relationship." Then separation destroys your sense of identity. You say, "I am successful." Then one poor season creates shame. You say, "I am admired." Then criticism becomes unbearable. The unattached mind uses a different language. I have a career, but I am more than my work. I love this person, but I still belong to myself. I have succeeded, but I remain a student. I made a mistake, but I am capable of repair. This language keeps identity larger than circumstance. Your roles will change: child, student, worker, partner, parent, leader, beginner, expert. Some roles begin, some end. If you confuse a role with your entire self, every transition becomes a crisis. But beneath every role is the person who chooses, the person who learns, the person who responds, the person who can begin again. That person is your foundation. The world may take a position. It cannot take your ability to choose your next honest step. This is why inner freedom creates courage. Fear often says, "What if I lose what I have?" Freedom replies, "Then I will meet the version of me who knows how to rebuild." This is not arrogance, it is self-trust. You are not claiming that rebuilding will be easy. You are claiming that difficulty will not erase your ability to respond. Think about the most painful moments you have already survived. At the time, you may have believed, "I cannot handle this," yet you are here. Maybe not unchanged, maybe not completely healed, but here. You learned. You adjusted. You discovered strength only pressure could reveal. Do not romanticize pain. Pain is not always necessary. You do not need to search for suffering, but when suffering arrives, do not immediately assume it has ended your story. Human beings often underestimate their ability to adapt. The mind imagines the future using today's emotional state. Because you feel broken today, you assume you will feel broken forever. Because you are confused now, you assume clarity will never return. Because one path ended, you assume no other path can carry you. But emotions move. Understanding grows. New people appear. New skills develop. New meanings become possible. The future contains versions of you that today's fear cannot imagine. Detachment creates room for those versions. Attachment says, "My future must look exactly like this." Detachment says, "I know what I value, but I remain open to forms I have not yet seen." Maybe you want love. Do not attach love to one face. Maybe you want meaningful work. Do not attach purpose to one company. Maybe you want success. Do not attach success to one exact timeline. Maybe you want respect. Do not attach dignity to one group's approval. Hold the value. Release the narrow form. This is how life surprises you. Many people miss better opportunities because they remain attached to the original plan. They keep asking for the old door to open while a new door stands beside them. They do not see it because attachment narrows attention. The mind looks only for what it expects. Freedom allows you to notice what is actually present. Ask, what else could this become? What is this ending making possible? What skill must I build now? What truth can I no longer ignore? What new direction deserves my attention? These questions turn loss into movement. Not immediately. You may need time to grieve. Do not force optimism. But after grief has spoken, let curiosity enter. Curiosity is the doorway out of emotional prison. It says, "I do not know what happens next, but I am willing to discover it." An unstoppable person is not attached to looking strong. This matters. Many people remain trapped because they do not want anyone to see them begin again. They would rather continue failing in a familiar position than appear inexperienced in a new one. They fear losing status. They fear questions. They fear people saying, "I thought you were successful." So they protect the image and lose the future. Freedom means being willing to look foolish while learning, to admit the plan changed, to say, "I was wrong," to start from zero, to ask for help, to move into a smaller room while building a stronger foundation. Ego wants the appearance of power. Detachment wants real power. Real power is adaptable. It does not need to preserve every old story. It can change its mind when evidence changes. It can leave a path that no longer works. It can apologize without feeling weak. It can learn from people younger, newer, or less impressive. It is not loyal to pride. It is loyal to truth. This makes the unattached person difficult to control. You cannot control them with praise because they do not depend on praise. You cannot control them with criticism because they can examine criticism without collapsing. You cannot control them with the threat of abandonment because they will not abandon themselves to keep you. You cannot control them with status because they are willing to walk away from titles that violate their values. You cannot control them with uncertainty because they know how to move without guarantees. You cannot control them with failure because they know how to learn. This is why detachment creates power, not because you stop feeling, because feelings stop becoming chains. You feel fear without obeying every fearful thought. You feel desire without becoming desperate. You feel anger without giving anger your voice. You feel sadness without turning sadness into your identity. You feel love without using love as an excuse to tolerate disrespect. Emotion becomes information, not command. To live this way, you must build the gap between feeling and action. Something happens, a message arrives, a person rejects you, a plan fails, someone criticizes you, your body reacts. The old version of you immediately acts from the reaction. You send the message. You defend yourself. You beg. You quit. You make a promise. You attack. The unattached mind creates a pause, even a few seconds. It says, "This is what I feel, but what action serves my values?" That pause is one of the most powerful places in your life. Inside it, identity can change. A reactive person is easy to control. Anyone who knows your triggers can choose your behavior. They insult you. You react. They withdraw. You chase. They praise you. You obey. They reject you. You collapse. Your emotions become buttons. The world keeps pressing them. The unattached mind removes the buttons, not by becoming numb, by becoming aware. You notice the trigger, you slow down, you choose. This is emotional sovereignty. Your inner world becomes your responsibility. Other people influence it. They do not rule it. Begin practicing with small triggers. When you receive criticism, wait before replying. When someone becomes distant, do not immediately chase. When a result disappoints you, do not make a final decision in the first emotional hour. When praise arrives, enjoy it without making promises to keep pleasing everyone. When jealousy appears, study what it reveals about your own desires. When anger rises, ask what boundary or wound is beneath it. The goal is not to eliminate emotion. The goal is to become a skilled listener instead of an obedient servant. Detachment also changes the way you love. You stop saying, "I love you, so you must become what I need." You begin saying, "I love you, and I am willing to see who you truly are." This is harder. Control creates an illusion. You try to shape the other person. You pressure. You advise without being asked. You monitor. You become angry when they do not match the version in your mind. But love without freedom becomes possession. An unattached heart can care deeply while respecting reality. It can support without rescuing. It can encourage without controlling. It can forgive without removing every consequence. It can stay without losing itself. It can leave without turning love into hatred. You are not responsible for saving every person you love. Some people must face the results of their choices. If you constantly protect them from consequences, you may delay their growth. Your need to be needed can become another attachment. You feel valuable when rescuing. You become the fixer, the helper, the one who carries everything. But beneath the kindness may be fear. If they no longer need me, will they still choose me? This is not pure service. It is service mixed with dependence. Help because it is wise, not because usefulness is the only way you know how to receive love. Allow people to carry their part. Allow them to solve. Allow them to fail. Allow them to reveal whether they are willing to grow. You do not need to become everyone's emergency system. Your life also deserves your energy. An unstoppable person protects attention. Attention is the doorway through which the world enters your mind. What you repeatedly watch, check, fear, and imagine begins shaping you. If you give attention to every opinion, you will have no energy left for purpose. If you give attention to every conflict, you will live in reaction. If you give attention to people who confuse you, clarity will struggle to grow. If you give attention to comparison, gratitude will weaken. Detachment means becoming selective. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every opportunity deserves pursuit. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every emotion deserves action. Not every person deserves access. Your life becomes powerful through what you refuse to carry. A heavy mind is not always carrying responsibility. Sometimes it is carrying unnecessary noise, other people's opinions, imagined disasters, old arguments, future conversations, jealousy, regret, the need to prove, the need to control, the need to know exactly what will happen. Put some of it down. You were never meant to carry every possible future at once. Return to this moment. What is real now? Your breath, your body, the room, the task, the decision, the next step. The present moment is usually more manageable than the story your mind creates about it. Right now, you may not be failing. You may simply be afraid of future failure. Right now, you may not be abandoned. You may be interpreting someone's silence. Right now, your life may not be ruined. One plan may be uncertain. Attachment merges fear with fact. Detachment separates them. Say, "This is what I know. This is what I am imagining." This simple exercise can stop unnecessary suffering. What you know may be limited. A reply has not arrived. The result is delayed. A person said no. The plan changed. What you are imagining may be enormous. They hate me. I will never recover. Everything is over. No one will choose me. Do not treat imagination as evidence. Wait for reality. Respond to reality. The unattached mind is patient enough to let truth arrive. It does not fill every silence with the worst story. To become unstoppable, you must also detach from speed. You may be rushing because you believe being late means being worthless. You see others succeeding and feel behind. You pressure your growth. You expect healing to happen quickly. You expect mastery without enough repetition. You expect your new life to appear immediately after one brave choice. But real transformation often moves slowly. The old patterns were built over years. Give yourself time to build new ones. Slow does not mean stopped. Quiet does not mean empty. Invisible does not mean unimportant. A person who can move slowly without quitting becomes very difficult to defeat. They do not burn all their energy in one dramatic week. They build a life they can repeat. They respect recovery. They focus on consistency. They understand that sustainable power is calmer than desperate power. Desperate power says, I must change everything now. Sustainable power says, I will change one pattern and protect the change. Desperate power wants a new identity overnight. Sustainable power earns identity through repetition. You do not become disciplined because you made one strong decision. You become disciplined because you continue making aligned decisions after the emotion disappears. You do not become detached because you stop checking once. You become detached because you repeatedly choose peace over compulsion. You do not become confident because everyone praised you. You become confident because you learn that you can face discomfort without abandoning yourself. This is the final transformation. You stop asking life to become easier before you become powerful. You build the ability to meet life as it is. Uncertain, changing, beautiful, painful, unfair at times, generous at others. You stop negotiating with reality. You stop saying, this should not be happening, and begin asking, it is happening. Who will I be now? That question returns power. You may not have chosen the event. You still choose the response. You may not control the loss. You still control whether loss becomes bitterness or wisdom. You may not control rejection. You still control whether you reject yourself. You may not control delay. You still control whether you prepare. You may not control who leaves. You still control whether you leave your own values behind. This is why the unattached mind becomes unstoppable. Every event becomes material. Success becomes gratitude. Failure becomes information. Rejection becomes redirection. Delay becomes training. Loss becomes clarity. Silence becomes space. Uncertainty becomes practice. Nothing is wasted when you know how to use it. You will still have preferences. You will still want things. You will still feel pain when they do not happen. But a deeper voice will remain beneath the pain. It will say, this is not the end of me. I can feel this without becoming this. I can release what refuses to stay. I can learn from what did not work. I can build without applause. I can love without losing myself. I can walk into uncertainty without surrendering my identity. That voice is your freedom. Protect it, strengthen it, follow it. From this day forward, stop asking, how can I make life obey me? Ask, how can I become so grounded that life does not need to obey me for me to remain whole? Stop asking, how can I guarantee that I will never lose? Ask, how can I trust myself to respond when loss arrives? Stop asking, how can I make them choose me? Ask, am I choosing a life that respects me? Stop asking, when will the result come? Ask, who am I becoming while I wait? This is the mind that cannot be purchased with praise. threatened with rejection, trapped by uncertainty, manipulated through fear, destroyed by delay, or controlled by an outcome. This is the unattached mind. It does not grip life with a closed fist. It holds life with an open hand. What comes is welcomed. What stays is valued. What leaves is released. What hurts is felt. What teaches is remembered. What ends creates space, and what remains inside you becomes stronger. You do not need to control every chapter. You need to trust the person holding the pen. You, your choices, your courage, your discipline, your willingness to begin again. The world may change the road, keep walking. The world may change the timing, keep preparing. The world may change the people beside you, keep honoring your values. The world may refuse the result you wanted. Build another possibility, because the final power was never inside the outcome. It was always inside the person who refused to be owned by it. Let go of control, not your standards. Release the outcome, not your effort. Stop chasing, start choosing, stop begging, start building, stop proving, start becoming. You do not become unstoppable when nothing goes wrong. You become unstoppable when what goes wrong can no longer make you forget who you are. And when nothing outside you can make you abandon yourself, nothing outside you can truly defeat you. You are free. Now move like it.